here's the interesting thing. This began 4 weeks ago, and as had been published in Irish media, there was going to be new evidence. And from what I heard, like the best possible way that McGregor could get this retried or anything like that was having this new evidence brought. However, 4 weeks ago, when the Court of Appeal kicked off for Nikita Hans, she obviously successfully sued McGregor in November. When this kicked off 4 weeks ago, the first thing McGregor's lawyers did was say, well, we're going to withdraw this new evidence. The only problem is that the evidence had been put out across several publications in Ireland up to that point. So that obviously won the ire of Nikita Hans' attorneys, who immediately said that this should be directed to the Director of Public Prosecutions and should be investigated for perjury. So as far as we know, based on what we heard 4 weeks ago, the couple, who were former neighbours of Nikita Hans, who had claimed that they saw some kind of incident occur between Hand and her then partner on the same night that all this stuff was alleged to have happened with McGregor in a Dublin hotel, they withdrew this, and now they are being investigated for perjury as per the DPP, because when Nikita Hans' lawyers said, like, this isn't right, that they can withdraw this at a late notice, the three judges who are overseeing the appeal, they forwarded this to the DPP. Unfortunately, we won't hear about this. We'll only hear if they get charged. That will be a headline. But as far as blow-by-blow accounts of the investigation, we will not hear anything about that. It is important to note that McGregor is not being investigated for perjury. It is the couple that came forward with this evidence. Without that evidence, without the new evidence, should I say, that was going to be put forward by this couple, basically McGregor's team came in and they said they had an exception with the lawyer, the judge, who was Justice Alexander Owens. They said that they used a broad term of assault when he was directing the jury, like as to what way they decided the case was go, and they should have used sexual assault. However, today the Court of Appeals dismissed that. They said it was brutally clear that the judge had directed them that this was a rape. That is what assault meant in this case, and they also took exception to the fact that the judge, as far as they were concerned, allowed a line of questioning pertaining to multiple no comment replies McGregor gave to the police. However, today the three judge panel, they said that that wouldn't stand up, as the judge had told the jury on multiple occasions that the no comments had no evidential value. So those are pretty much the two grounds without this evidence that they went in to get the appeal with, and they have been struck out. They find that they had no grounds for appeal in this case.
And so what does that mean in terms of the future of this case? Is this fully resolved? Is there anything still yet to be determined? You mentioned, obviously, the potential repercussions for the neighbors, but is there anything beyond that? Is there anything involving either Conor McGregor or Nikita Hand from here forward?
I would say that Nikita Hand has a case for some litigation as to the quotes that came out from this couple. The couple, Samantha O'Reilly and Stephen Cummins, who were neighbours of Nikita Hand at the time, no longer are. It was put out in big publications. I'm talking like the biggest publications in Ireland, the Sunday World, the biggest tabloid on Sunday here, which still sells a lot of papers. They gave a blow-by-blow account of what O'Reilly saw. She claimed that from her window, as I said, she was a neighbour of Hand's, she could see Hand being pushed down. And although her view was obscured, she said the way that her then partner's body moved suggested that he had kicked her. Now, obviously, this only came to light after McGregor had lost the civil case. I believe O'Reilly had said that she came forward with this information because she saw the case on the TV and hadn't realized it was happening until that time. A lot of people take exception with that because it was probably the biggest story in Ireland last year. So that's all going to have to be looked into. I guess Nikita would have some grounds here, and as the quote that we're just seeing here, you can see that this has affected her greatly. Her legal team had kind of said, like, she's been dragged through this whole process again because of this information coming out. Like, obviously in November, I'd say she had hoped she saw that was the end of it, but obviously with this information coming out, it had kind of brought her back into the public eye and brought a lot of people's opinions to the fore once again.
And just want to be clear, you mentioned the hand side of it. Anything for McGregor from here?
As far as I know, he is not being investigated for perjury. He would have to be implicated, but to some degree, by that couple for him to come under that, to come under the microscope in that regard. He has been, so basically up until this point, he wouldn't have had to pay the legal costs for hand and everything like that because the appeal process was taking place. But in order for Conor McGregor to pay hands, estimated 1.3 million legal costs was stayed pending the outcome of the appeal. The court today ordered that hand should get her costs in the High Court and appeal court against McGregor. That's me reading from the article we put out on Uncrowned earlier. So as far as this whole case, it seems to be over. Anything else will be a separate litigation at this point.
Understood. And one last question for you. What's the sense of the level of coverage of this from the Irish media? Like, obviously, I imagine the initial ruling by the courts was widely covered. Conor McGregor himself in attendance for this. He was not in attendance today. What is your sense of like what has been the perception of this, the coverage from the media? What is the general sense of how this is being handled from the Irish public and the media?
Well, it's, as you guys go live here at 1 p.m. your time, at 6 p.m. here, the biggest news show of the day is shown at 6 p.m. here, 6-1 it's called, on RTE, the national broadcaster. That would have been the top bulletin on the news today. So it's, as far as, like, I was just speaking to my fiance Elaine on her way home, bulletins on the radio the whole way home. In terms of like WhatsApp groups I'm in, as soon as this decision came out, it was probably about 3 hours ago at this point, all the message groups just flooded with discourse about this case. Again, like McGregor, a hugely polarizing guy, but without a doubt, probably the most famous Irish person in the world at the moment. So anything he does, it's going to be talked about a lot. And obviously, we've talked about it before on the show. He is massively polarizing here. And this is just another notch in his belt in terms of the various controversies he's been involved in throughout his career.
PT, thanks so much for joining us, man. Really sound reporting. You can read his article up right now on uncrowned.com. Thanks so much again, man.
Thanks, lads. All the best. Have a great show.
Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.